Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Williams. I'm from Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill's office. The Congresswoman's sorry she couldn't make it here today. She just returned from a congressional delegation trip to Qatar, where she met with U.S. troops and Afghan evacuees, as well as discussed our strategic partnership between our two countries. She's currently at another Veterans Day event, but she asked me to read the following remarks on her behalf. Please keep in mind this is her voice, not mine. As a veteran, November 11th reminds me of all my friends and family members who have served, all of the brave men and women who have fought for our freedoms over the generations. I think back to those who fought for our country in the Revolutionary War and endured the terrible winter right here in New Jersey, the crossroads of the American Revolution, so we could chart a new course as a sovereign nation. I think of our World War II veterans like my grandfather who fought to uphold our values when they came under the threat of the Nazis. And I think of the veterans after World War II who fought for this country but too often did not receive the respect and support they deserved for their bravery and sacrifice when they returned home. As I attended the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 memorials across the district this year, I thought of our Iraq and Afghanistan veterans who have sacrificed overseas so we were kept safe from attack here at home. And I think of all the family members who spent Thanksgivings without their loved ones present, who managed kids' schedules alone, and who celebrated birthdays and anniversaries alone. Since the founding of our nation, men and women have bravely answered the call of duty, standing up for our democratic values and kept us all safe. I take my responsibility to them seriously, which is why in Congress I will continue to fight to ensure each veteran has access to robust mental health care, that each veteran can make full use of their earned benefits like tuition assistance, health care, survivors of benefits, and that every veteran leaves the military equipped for civilian life. To all the veterans of New Jersey and across the nation and our families, thank you. Thank you for your service, for your commitment to our country, and for the many sacrifices you and your families have made along the way. And that's what we're doing, Mikey Sherrill. And on a personal note, it's truly an honor to be with you all today, and thank you all for having us.
This morning I reflected, because we've been here for Memorial Day, September 11th, and what do I say? Because thank you really doesn't feel like enough. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. He was one of the last two in his community, living World War II veterans, and he passed last year. My father, a Vietnam veteran, and we have to thank our Vietnam veterans for, of course, their sacrifices, their service, but they really truly taught us what it means to be a hero and what we need to do to welcome back our heroes. And we've corrected that. We know that our veterans return always receiving a hero's welcome. And I want you to know that I never forget. Again, my father, a Vietnam veteran, we know that the moral injuries that they brought home with them may never be healed. So again, it's an honor to be here. I will say thank you to all of our veterans. But I want to say a little bit more, and I thought this poem by a veteran herself, and I apologize if you've heard it already, but again, I think it bears repeating, really speaks to how we continue to recognize our veterans every day and ensure that they are receiving that hero's welcome. I Am a Veteran by Andrea Christensen Brett. You may not know me the first time we meet. I'm just another you see on the street. But I am the reason you walk and breathe free. I am the reason for your liberty. I work in the local factory all day. I own the restaurant just down the way. I sell you insurance. I start your IV. I've got the best looking grandkids you'll ever see. I'm your grocer, your baker, your child's school teacher. I'm your plumber, your barber, your family's preacher. But there's a part of me you don't know very well. Just listen a moment. I've a story to tell. I am a veteran. I joined the service while still in my teens. I traded my prom dress for camouflage greens. I'm the first in my family to do something like this. I followed my father like he followed his. Defying my fears and hiding my doubt, I married my sweetheart before I shipped out. I missed Christmas, then Easter, the birth of my son, but I knew I was doing what had to be done. I served on the battlefront. I served on the base. I bound up the wounded and begged for God's grace. I gave orders to fire. I followed commands. I marched into conflict in far distant lands. In the jungle, the desert, on mountains and shores, in bunkers, in tents, on blank earthen floors. While I fought on the ground, in the air, on the sea, my family and friends were home, praying for me. For the land of the free and the home of the brave, I faced my demons in foxholes and caves. Then one dreaded day, without drummer or fife, I lost an arm. My buddy lost his life. I came home and moved on, but forever was changed. The perils of war in my memory remain. I don't really say much. I don't feel like I can, but I left home a child and came home a man. There are thousands like me, thousands more who are gone, but their legacy lives as time marches on. White crosses in rows and names carved in few remind us of what these brave souls had to do. I'm part of a fellowship, a strong, mighty band of each man and each woman who has served this great land. And when old glory waves, I stand proud, I stand tall. I help keep her flying over all, over all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commander. Wow, what a beautiful day. It is always an honor to be with you for Veterans Day. You know, as the days leading up to today wound down, and I thought about what I would say today here in Randolph, I couldn't help but think of all of the times that I had an opportunity to speak at veteran ceremonies, 9/11 ceremonies, Memorial Day. And it dawned on me that all of those times I spoke for what I thought was important that day. And yesterday I reached out to a friend of mine who was a veteran from the Marine Corps. And I asked him what he would have liked to hear on Veterans Day. I asked him what was important to him to hear on Veterans Day as a veteran. And he told me that, he said, I just want people to understand that for all veterans, whenever we enlisted or were called to duty, we did so recognizing that at any given point in time, we could be called into harm's way and we could lose our lives protecting our country, protecting our freedoms, and protecting the liberty of our people. He said, I'm not sure that everybody understands that from the oldest veteran to those men and women serving in our military today, they all signed that pledge willingly and knowing that at any given time they could make the ultimate sacrifice. He said, and that goes for our families as well. He said, so if you could convey anything to anybody today, he said, that's a message that I think everybody needs to understand. And as I spoke to him a little bit about his service, it dawned on me that perhaps on Veterans Day, just saying thank you for your service isn't enough. It's just not enough. For the sacrifices that our men and women of the military make on a daily basis, our veterans have served over the years, have made, perhaps saying thank you for your service just isn't enough. Perhaps you got to take the time to ask them about their service, to respect them for their service, to know that they have our support and their families have our support. And that goes specifically and most importantly to those men and women that served in Vietnam. You know, I mentioned at the last service that I had spent some time with some of the veterans from the Battle of the Bulge. And at this point, most of those veterans, unfortunately, are gone. And our Vietnam vets are now getting up there in age as well. And for them, unfortunately, they came home at a time of political crisis in our country. And they didn't receive a welcome home like many of their former colleagues. And it's important for us to recognize that and to tell them, so those Vietnam vets that are here today, welcome home. We recognize that you still suffer from your service in a foreign country in the jungle, and Agent Orange and some of the other things that you were forced to endure, and that you endured for our freedom. And we're thankful for the service that you provided to our country. And to all those that have served after you, it's important for us to make sure that we take the time to not just say thank you for your service, but to understand what your service meant. So today, understand what it's like to sign that contract with the United States of America, and what it could mean at any given time to that service member and to the family that is home supporting them while they've been called away. So take a little bit of time, spend it with a veteran. Don't just shake the hand and move on. Spend a little time to ask them about their service. If they're not willing to talk about it, that's okay too. But they'll recognize that you took the time to think about them and what they've done for our country. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Who have been to the Vietnam Wall in Washington? Raise your hand, please. That's a good number. How many of your children have been to the Vietnam Wall? Pretty good, but maybe half as much. Well, I'm happy to announce that with the help of Senator Bucco and a whole bunch of other folks in Randolph, our post will be sponsoring the coming of the moving wall next July 7th through 11th. It'll be at the county college. And it's going to be a big deal because it's going to help a lot of people to understand better about what Vietnam was all about and what Vietnam veterans deal with. So I'm very proud to announce that to you. And what we're looking for are sponsors, volunteers, and anybody else interested in helping us. So we have some forms that we're going to hand out for your signature. And I look forward to seeing you next July at that wall with your tears flowing.